that I was believing to be true was not true. And so those are the things that I continue to discover in my journey. So like I started out with the divorce is a failure. That was the biggest thing to overcome. Divorce for the children. These are the things that I needed to overcome. But when I actually did the divorce in a certain way, I realized that I actually didn't hurt my children doing that. My children really liked that fact that we did, and that we got divorced. They would rather see us, living a separate life, happy. This is what they say to me. And then so like, I guess that's just an example. And also divorce is a failure, is the belief I had. That's why I hang on to it so long. But I realized that no, not necessarily. I can do it in a successful way, in a very conscious and loving way. And I did it.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from across the entire spectrum of non-monogamy to hear their fascinating stories. We strive to bring guests on the show who have a healthy approach to non-monogamy. However, it's important to remember that everyone does it a little bit differently, and the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we produce this show for entertainment purposes only. Please be aware that we aren't doctors or therapists. Consult the medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 287. We're Finn and Emma, and today we have an extremely powerful conversation with Mariko. She is an amazing, badass woman, and we talk a lot about different topics throughout this interview. However, an underlying theme is really finding your true self and embracing your true self and breaking out of societal norms.
Yeah, well, obviously Mariko is going to talk about her own story, but just a couple of things up front here. She was born and raised in Japan, came to the U.S. when she was 25 for her master's. And I'm going to steal this next little bit from her website, paraphrase, but basically she was living the dream. She was extremely successful in business and her career and in life. And she was living the dream, but she wasn't living her dream. And really over the next 20 years of her life, she was figuring out how to do that. And a few years back, she really stepped into it. She made a whole bunch of changes in her life. She separated from her husband. She started taking some different training programs. She started taking martial arts. She started taking belly dance. She just started leaning into herself. And the transformation is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. And she's also a certified sex and relationship coach and certified dominatrix.
Yeah, again, the transformations that Mariko has made in the last few years from the day she landed here in the U.S. are monumental. And what I love about this conversation is she doesn't just gloss over it. We dig in deep, and she is very transparent and vulnerable with us about this journey, and it's beautiful. So
yeah, it's very clear that she demonstrates radical honesty in everything she does.
Yeah. And so just a huge, huge amount of gratitude to Mariko for coming on, for reaching out, and for sharing your story. And another huge amount of gratitude to a secret somebody that we can't name who helped get us in touch with Mariko. And so thank you. You know who you are, and we know who you are. And so thank you for making this happen. And yeah, we're just excited to get the story out there. Again, links to all of Mariko's work will be in the podcast show notes at normalizingnonmonogamy.com. Please check those out. Please check out her work. Again, you're going to be blown away. We'll stop talking about it.
For anyone who's a premium subscriber, we're going to jump right into the interview now. And for anyone else, we do have a couple of announcements. First up, if you're not familiar with the premium subscription, it's a way to skip these announcements up at the front and jump right into the interview every week, but you still get the important dates at the end of the episode. To find out more, go to our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com, click on the homepage. On the homepage, scroll down and you can find out more.
Yeah. The next thing we wanted to remind you of is every month we do a virtual meet and greet. This is where we gather a whole bunch of you, roughly 30 to 50 of you in Zoom. We ask you questions. We put you in breakout rooms. We scramble the breakout rooms. Everybody has a great time. The next one is on May 24th. If you would like to learn more or to sign up, head over to our website. Again, normalizingnonmonogamy.com. Click on the events tab, and you will see a link there. And we would love to have you join us.
While you're over on our website, you can also click on the community tab and read all about our virtual community. We have an online chat platform. We have monthly Q&As and an ongoing men's group and women's group. The community continues to grow, and it's a great way to meet like-minded people, find support, find friendship, all the things.
All the things. So we have over 200 people as part of our virtual community, and we just want to say thank you to all of them.
Yes.
Also, you know what's fun about the virtual community?
What? Lots of things.
Well, yeah. But so many of the people in the virtual community, they got their taste. They got hooked. They came to a virtual meet and greet.
Yeah.
And they were like, damn, all these people are amazing. And we're like, well, yeah, of course they are. They're part of our virtual community, and we would love you to be part of that too.
So maybe the trick is to come to a virtual meet and greet first.
And then you get a little flavor,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can join the community.
Yes.
So if you want to join the community, again, our website, normalizing.monogamy.com, click on the community tab. And just to be super duper clear, the community and the virtual meet and greet, they are two separate things. The virtual meet and greets are open to anybody and everybody. And the community is a couple of bucks a month. It's $5 a month, and you get a ton of amazing community support.
Yes.
I think we did a good job with that.
I think so too.
Well done. High five.
One last thing before we jump into the interview is a quick reminder to check out our favorite way to get tested for STIs, especially as you're out there meeting new people this summer.
It is beach season.
It is. And
you know what's not always a good idea?
what?
Sex on the beach.
Oh, sand everywhere.
You get sand in
Ugh.
all the places.
Anyway.
We can't help you with that.
No, but we can help you with STI testing.
Let's do that then.
At our favorite affiliate, stdcheck.com. Using the links on our website gives you a discount and makes a 10-panel test only $129 and supports the show, which we greatly, greatly appreciate it. stdcheck.com is discreet, simple, fast, all of the things, and our favorite way to get tested.
And our favorite way to get sand out of your butt crack.
If it can do that, sure.
It's an upcharge. Yeah, totally made that up.
Yeah, probably not going to come with the package.
I don't believe that is a service they offer, but this is MNI's, as she said, favorite way to get tested for STIs. We've been using this service for years, as have many of you, and you all seem to love it. You all keep coming back. So thank you to all of you who have used this service, not only for supporting the show, but for supporting the greater community by knowing and sharing your STI status.
A quick reminder to reach out to us, contact us, send us a voicemail, send us an email. You can find all of that on our website. We would love to hear from you. If you want to be a guest on the show, or if you have any feedback or questions, please reach out to us.
Or if you have any tips on getting sand out of your butt crack.
Oh, that's an important addition.
Yes. All the
to contact us?
Butt cracks or any cracks. Yes, please contact us. Let us know. We will sign up for your affiliate program. Maybe it's just like a power washer.
Oh boy. Anyway, I think we should go into the interview.
I think we should go into business. Oh, interview. We should go into the interview. All right, let's head over and talk to Mariko.
Let's go.
Good morning, Mariko. We are super excited to talk to you today. Thank you for joining us. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're excited. Do you mind starting by just sharing a little bit about who you are and a little bit about who we're talking to, since we actually don't know a whole lot about you either?
Yeah. So, thank you for asking. So my name is Mariko, and I'm a born and raised Japanese. And I came to the United States to do my master's when I was 25 years old. And in my entire life, I've been a businesswoman. I had been married for about 20 years. And when I got a divorce, from that moment, I started this journey of who am I and what do I want in my life? And, what are the things that I didn't allow myself to do? And then so after divorce was over, and then I was ready to kind of really explore my life again, I did two things. I got a certification in sex, love, and relationship coaching. And that was like a 180-degree change from what I used to do. Well, I'm still a businesswoman, but and then so that career change and also like my personal life direction change of kind of exploring the things that I never explore, in my life before, in my personal and professional lives. So that's who I am at a high level. And I guess in terms of like the relationship structure, I kind of found myself being in a community of like open relationship or non-monogamy or polyamory, and that's kind of one of the theme I'm exploring after I became a single woman.
Yeah,
and also that turned out to be kind of a niche that I want to really focus on, like one of the niche areas that in my professional lives in coaching people. So that's kind of a summary of who I am.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm curious, going back in time. Well, you said a few times that you were starting to explore things that you never allowed yourself to explore up until you were single. Were these things that were tumbling around in your head and you were just suppressing them, or did you not even know that they were things that you could explore?
I actually didn't even know that things that, that these are the things that I want to explore, or I want to admit that I want to explore. It was really deeply buried. So I'm a rule follower. So, and then I've done well being that, right, in my entire life. And one of the things I have done, I guess, when I allow myself to be myself and then really discover who I am, is that I always worked in a very male-dominated industries. And I still do to some degree. And then so I did not realize how much I was suppressing my femaleness because I was afraid that that will be a disadvantage for me.
Yeah.
So very much I was trying to be like a man, to be able to do business with them and negotiate with them. And then, really that in my workplace, I was the only woman. I've been consistently in that environment. So I was definitely, I don't want to appear sexual. I don't want, because if I do, then people will think I am unprofessional. I'm not, I'm not competent, right? So yeah, I was very much hiding that part. And then I didn't even notice that I was doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was the catalyst for change really your divorce, that separation? Or was there something else that happened?
Yeah. So, so it kind of happened gradually, and I cannot understate the impact of I got involved in network marketing, and then that put me in the personal development path. And then so when I was in that serious personal development path, I guess gradually I started to realize that this marriage is not fitting me. Like the marriage was not allowing me to be me. And then I realized that to stay in the marriage, I just chose to just suppress and then kind of hide who I am so that we can stay married. So when I was going through the divorce, and then when I was done with it, I was like, wow. So that things that I was telling myself that, no, this part of me is not okay. This part, no. Or he doesn't like that. I just kind of that was like the opening, oh, okay, I don't have a reason to kind of keep pressing this down. Yeah. So that was definitely the opening.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it almost seems like you, on some level, you knew there were things you were suppressing, because when the marriage ended, I guess, how do you start to let those come back to the surface if you almost don't even know they're there? And I know that's a really hard question, but I think this is probably something that a lot of people experience, that they hide some part of themselves, and then at some point it becomes quote unquote okay again for them to be themselves. But if you've tucked it away so deep, how do you ever find that and bring it back to the surface?
So that's a great question. So first thing I did was, of course, I was working with a coach and then a couple of healers in that process. But like I decided to just kind of let myself to do the things I didn't allow myself, like do nothing, which was one of the hardest thing to do nothing. I was like, do, go, figure things out, do everything, like do, constantly, right? So instead of that, I was told like, well, by my coaches and healers, like I stop doing, pause, and then just be curious and then just find something that really interests you. Like, so that's what I kind of what I did. And then one of the different things that I let myself do did different things. And then one of the most significant thing was that I started taking actually belly dance. And then that's one of the things I've never taken like a dance lesson. I was curious, but I'm like, that seems like a sexiest thing that the woman can learn, right?
Yeah.
So I was just pure curiosity. Like if people will look at me and then like I'm going to belly dance class, people will laugh at me, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
At that moment, right? And then so I went to this belly dance class. And then I looked at myself in the mirror in my very first class. And I was just kind of doing this very slow hand movement because that's what you do. And then I was like, oh my God, I look so sexy. And I never I always wanted people to think, because I was so driven, in terms of career success and everything. I did not want people to think I'm sexy. I wanted people to think that I am intelligent, successful, all of these things. And then sexy, scary, right? So, but then I also realized that being sexy is scary, right? And then so at the same time, I was starting to take this self-defense martial arts classes. So I realized that, well, I am learning to, defend myself because I'm a single woman and I want to defend myself and also my children. And if I need to, right? So I was learning these things. That's one of the things I was allowing myself to learn. And I realized that because I am learning how to protect myself, I can be sexy and I'm safe. So like different things I did just kind of like synergistically, kind of like I wanted more and more and more and more. In terms of like learning about sexuality, I was very aware of the fact that, people always talk about, and of course, I think everyone kind of dreams about like dream relationships and soulmate and blah, 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 right? But, if we really think about it, what kind of education are we getting for that? To have an amazing sex or amazing relationship, what kind of training did you do so that you can experience these things? And even though I wouldn't call my marriage or like a prior relationship like a bad or unsuccessful or, any of that, I just knew that I'm not an expert because I never got training or education, or I didn't have a teacher in that area. So I'm like, well, how can I expect to experience these amazing things if I don't have a proper training about it? So I decided to just learn that. But it's like, it seems to make sense, And I also kind of like, if I'm interested in something, I want to learn everything about it. Yeah. And then I wanted to learn something properly and then first and foremost experience that in my life. And I also had this feeling that, if I can do this deep dive on myself and start to experience these amazing relationship, love and sex, all of these things. And after that, if I can teach other people to do that, that sounds amazing. So like all of these things just kind of like happen in a very short amount of time, just kind of one after another.
Yeah. What was that timeline? Just from let's say from divorce until this point that you're sort of at where you're talking about right now?
So the separation was like the summer of 2018.
Okay.
And I was enrolled in that, like the sex coaching program, a year after that, a little over a year after that.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. The mentality you brought to that of, well, if I want to be good at something, then right, go find someone to teach me rather than, right. I think that's a mentality we take to many things, right? You want to be good at a sport, go find a coach. You know, people hire golf coaches all the time. You want to be good at photography, go find a photography class. You want to be good at cooking, find a cooking class. And everyone's like, well, you want to be good at sex and relationships? Well, look to your parents or just look around. You'll find some good examples.
Teacher.
Yeah. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
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 I think I wanted to point out one other thing that I thought was really amazing that sounded like one of the first steps, which is giving yourself the permission to do nothing. And I think that, first of all, is for some people impossibly hard to do.
Very difficult.
Oh yes.
But what it does is it lets you sit in nothingness, no phone, just like go for a walk, leave your phone at home, just go and be without anything. And then you get quiet and you start to think about like, well, what do I want to do? Not like what laundry has to be done, what has to be cooked, what emails do I have to respond to, but like, what do I actually want to do? And you can't get there unless you're like just doing nothing for a little bit. And and that's a muscle to flex, that like, can I just sit and do nothing? And it's hard.
Yeah.
So
yes, it is.
I'm glad you pointed that out, because I think it's a really amazing practical thing that people can do, even for just like a few minutes a day. Give yourself that freedom to think about what it is you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would love, like I said, I was one of those. I mean, I at that moment, I remember telling my coach, like, that's the one thing I cannot do. I cannot do nothing. And so, please give me books to read, worksheet to do. I will do them all. Please give me something to do. Yeah. And then she was not going to give it to me. So like, nope, I'm not giving it to you. And, it took a while. And then I also want people to hear that in that moment, I couldn't believe that I could be the person, but I am now. And I also want to say one of the things I allow myself to do is to adopt a pet, a dog specifically. That's one of the things that I never allowed myself to do in my entire life. And I remember still vividly that I was starting from fostering this particular dog. And I was petting this dog, like I had no experience of, caring for a dog, and then trying to pet this dog. And then about 2 seconds, I was feeling guilty. Like, oh, I don't have time for petting a dog. This was me. I cannot believe it, but I was in a serious case.
Yeah.
But I got out of it. So
was that drive? I'm curious, because I imagine it comes from different places, but for you, was it an internal drive that was saying you don't have time, or was it sort of an expectation set on you by maybe culturally or your marriage, or the sort of the dynamic that just evolved over time?
Yeah, so I think it's both. It's the conditioning, and also, as I said, I'm first and foremost rule follower.
Yeah.
And then so if I'm going to school, I expect that I do well. That was just always a thing, and then I did. And then so I guess deviate from that was I don't know, something that I didn't think about.
Yeah.
You're not working hard, being lazy is bad, or, I always just kind of really, oh, okay, is that true? Okay, I do that, I work hard.
Yeah.
Well, and doing nothing is the laziest of things you could possibly do, right? If you're doing nothing, you're being lazy. And
right.
Yeah. And you kind of, it sounds like you kind of, got into the marriage you did, and then kind of just found that cadence in a way, like, of this is my life and this is the way I do it. And you went on that path for 20 years and not really sounds like I'm putting words in your mouth, but not really questioning it very much along the way until you started to like really question, is this who I am? Is this where I'm at? And it's amazing how I think that happens to so many of us, because we can all get almost complacent in a way of like, this is just the way it is. And then when you actually get out of it and look back, you're like, I had the
why was it that way?
Yeah, like I had the power to change my situation if I had wanted to, but I didn't.
Right.
I didn't in the moment. Like, you also have to have compassion for yourself, because you may not have, like, you didn't know, right? So,
yeah, there's absolutely nothing that I regret about what I have done, and I feel like because of my particular journey, there are so many people who can relate to me, and that I can inspire in turn, right? So I have no regret. But like when I was married, and of course I was married for a long time, right? I mean, 20 years is a pretty long time. But like I would say that the reason why I was starting to question, and then I was starting to notice this kind of a me on the surface, and then like me inside, the real me inside, was really like I had this thing about this knowing inside that what I was doing in the business world, I mean, I was in the tech industry for a long time. Even though that was the thing that I knew at the time that make most money for me, I absolutely knew that this is not what I'm supposed to be doing in my life. I absolutely knew that. But I did not know then what, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't know that then what. And like I was so in that kind of a mode of living and in lifestyle that, and then I was in a marriage, like more like a marriage was kind of a seal, you know. So I'm like, okay, I was like, well, okay, I guess I'm going to maneuver inside of this box, but yeah, like,
yeah. Well, it's the box that says you get a job, you get married, you're probably going to get a house, probably get some kids, you got to get a white picket fence out there. That's the that's the box we're supposed to play in.
Yeah. And then I had the more than the marriage, but like from the career point of view, and then like my purpose for life point of view, I knew I was totally misaligned. And then so that really was a driver that when I tried to express that part of myself, I realized that in this marriage, I couldn't.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying other people can't. I mean, in not my situation, I couldn't see myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so at what point, well, I think that's amazing. Just being able to have that recognition, and then having, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't like overnight that you're like, oh, well, this is easy, I'll just fix this problem. But the developing the strength and the courage to then do something about it, because it's scary to push against all of that. I mean, you don't just wake up one day, you're like, well, I don't like this, I'll just change it tomorrow. Like it's a long process of untangling.
Yes, it is.
So I'm also curious then, in this journey, did different styles of relating show up for you?
Yeah. So, yes, when I got, divorced for a bit, I was quite shut down, and I mean, sexually or relationship wise, right? And then, so when I finally felt like I was ready, actually, even at that point, I just gonna say that. So I started the sex and love and relationship coaching program. That was an intense 1-year program. It started in the January of 2020. So when it started, I still was not ready to start dating or anything like that. I was single already, but I was not ready. And then I remember joking with one of my peers that like, hey, we are celibate sex coaches, because I had absolutely no interest in sex at that point. And then or like a relationship or anything like that. But then I guess what I was taking that training, I quickly start to realize, and then just, things start to open up like, hey, I guess I'm open now. I'm gonna start dating and then start meeting people. So I did. And I one of the thing I was very firm about going in, start meeting people, is that I will be honest with how I feel. If I like someone, if I don't like someone, I will be very honest with myself. So I will not suppress. Let's say that someone seemed to really like me or want to be exclusive with me or whatever it is, right? But I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Then I don't hide that. I just say, no, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel good. I don't like that. That's not what I want, you know? Even if that make me feel like in that moment to be honest with that person who is showing so much affection and interest, to say something like that, that might be uncomfortable. But like my most important thing is that I do what I want to do, including, let's say, you know, I actually hear this quite often that the woman, often, not all the time, but often women, like, you know, they are in a situations and they have sex, you know, even though they are not fully wanting or whatever. And that's one of the things, that's an example that I will make sure that I do not agree to things that I don't want to do. You know, even if I feel like, well, maybe I will give it to, you know, like whatever it is, like I do not make any compromise to what I want. So in that, when I have that as a kind of a most important value, meeting people, it was kind of natural to come and then say that. And then, so it was really not like, I'm going to start my, you know, relationship journey being non-monogamous, or I didn't really start it like that. Mm-hmm. But people start telling me like, well, you sound polyamorous. I'm like, really? You know, okay. All right. Okay. So like, it was more like that. It kind of started like that. I was just kind of telling people, this is what I do. And then they start labeling me, mm-hmm. you know, like that. Like, okay. So that was more like how it happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
So is that what it looked when you said, like, I wasn't going to do anything that I didn't want to do? It sounds like mm-hmm. the thing that you were wanting to do was relate to different people. So, mm-hmm. so almost you were doing the polyamory without the polyamory label, or the non-monogamy without the non-monogamy label.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then also, like, I started telling people that, I started telling people from the beginning, I was telling people that's what I'm doing. That's why they started labeling me. Oh, that's polyamorous. But like, pretty much everyone said like, wow, you know, you're rare that you're doing this as a woman. It's like, it was kind of interesting. People told me this, like, and then also, like, as a woman that I'm doing this is rare. And they also said that, well, men are doing this without telling you. They're just kind of dating around and then, you know, meeting different people, sleeping with different people. But they don't ever tell you, but you're telling people. So that's very refreshing. That's kind of what people said to me. I'm like, okay.
I love that your own sort of just built-in ethics guided you into this in a moral way, rather than doing the like, well, I want to do this, but I am going to still suppress it. Because I could see how it would be so easy to do that coming from the mm-hmm. background you did, where, well, I'm doing this thing now that I want to do, but I shouldn't be. So I know this game. I'll suppress it and I'll hide it and I'll keep it a secret. And then I can, I don't want to appear sexual. I don't want to break out of the box that everybody put me in, but you did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At that point, I actually now, and then even now, I mean, I love people seeing me sexual mm-hmm. or like sexy, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm in a very different place. So after feeling that way, like I'm very confident about myself, about me as a sexual being and all of that, then I can do it. But I can, if I wasn't feeling this way as a person, I think it would be difficult to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I know these are like sort of impossible questions to answer, but I think they're just, your journey is very powerful. And I guess the question is, how did you develop to that point of going from, I don't want to be seen as sexual to, not only am I comfortable, but like, I want this. This is who I am, and I want people to see it.
Yeah, I cannot say, I guess, one thing.
Yeah.
But like the belly dance and the self-defense example, right? Things that I was believing to be true was not true. And so those are the things that I continue to discover in my journey. So like I started out with the divorce is a failure. That was the biggest thing to overcome. Divorce hurt the children. These are the things that I needed to overcome. But when I actually did the divorce in a certain way, I realized that I actually didn't hurt my children doing that. My children really liked that fact that we did, and that we got divorced. They rather see us, living a separate life, happy. This is what they say to me. And then so like, I guess that's just an example. And also divorce is a failure, is the belief I had. That's why I hang on to it so long. But I realized that no, not necessarily. I can do it in a successful way, in a very conscious and loving way. And I did it. So I feel like, a lot of these things that I was kind of forced into, like, for example, I never, lived in my life, I want to experience divorce. I never really wanted that, but I had to do it. But when I had to do it, I had to experience the thing I did not want to experience. But when I did, I realized, wow, I was wrong about this. I had this particular story or the belief about something. And when I actually did it, I was proven wrong. So I guess it's more like more and more I started to find those things that I believed, and I had a particular story, and then I was choosing not to go there or not to do it, or doing something else, or suppress my desire for it. Realizing that, wow, I was wrong. And it was not only I was wrong, what I start to realize is that when I explore those areas, so basically it's shadow work, which is my favorite type of work. But so when I did, that's where that power was hidden, that I couldn't access it. Like, so I did so much work on myself, right? That the personal development work, and then, something to help me with the better at business or money management, or I took, training, and I have experience and all of those things. But I never wanted to explore those areas that I kind of shoved under the carpet, like those things that were scary, shameful, like divorce is a failure. So every time I uncover that, what's actually underneath that shadow, and when I developed a healthier relationship with that particular shadow, or the side of me that was under the shadow, I realized that I regained that power that underneath it, that was untapped, unused, underutilized. And I was like, oh, it was here, like I was feeling I was feeling I was such a powerful person. But no matter how hard I tried in the light areas, I couldn't use it. And I was so frustrated. Like, I know it's there, but I can't retrieve it. I can't use it. But when I went to those areas, like sexuality, or just really finding out and allowing myself to do the things that I really want to do this, but I'm even scared. But I want to check it out. Yeah. So I found that like more and more power. So I was like, wow, I was not going there because it was so scary, shameful, all of these things. But when I did, because I was forced to it or whatever, I found that thing I was looking for. So I thought that, wow, I need to tell everyone about this. Because I mean, you know, people say like they want to be confident, they want to be blah, blah, blah. You know, the confidence is the thing that is very difficult. Like, you cannot tell yourself to be confident, you know, just tell your mind like, oh, I want to be confident, and then you cannot be confident, you know. That's just doesn't do anything. But I realized that by going to the part that looks shameful, scary, that you don't want to go, is the secret fast track path, you know? So, yeah. So I guess in my experience, I started to realize that. And then so it kind of accelerated my discovery. Yeah.
I almost don't want to say anything else and just be done, because it was like the most amazing thing ever. But we probably should talk for a few more minutes, because that was amazing.
It was. Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing all of that. And I'm curious. So then how has that you went and did the sex and love coach training program, you did the belly dance classes, the martial arts classes. Where has that journey taken you to now? Like, where are you at now? And what has the last few years looked like for you on that journey?
Yeah. Yes. So thank you. So, it has taken me to the area where I never imagined. So that summer of that year, that 2020, I was taking that, you know, intense coaching certification in there. I got this guidance that I will be doing something like teaching something or doing something that looks like kink, like, you know, teaching people to play safely using our own bodies. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I did not know anything about that at that time, but I'm actually now a certified dominatrix. And so I didn't know anything about BDSM in that year. And then, but like, I'm in that community as well. And then when I did, I also learned more about the polyamory, like, you know, different way of the variety of relationship structure and the nature of love that people are able to experience in their lives. And the one that surrounds a dominatrix or any woman of like power, but not power, not like those kind of like a manipulative, controlling power, but, you know, like this magnetic, seductive, right? That power, the compelling power, the community or the people surround such a powerful woman, and the love relationship that happens around, it's something that now I really want. And to realize and being able to witness that in my training to be a dominatrix has been incredible to me, but also give me the depth of like type of non-monogamy or, you know, polyamorous relationship that I want in my life, that I never imagined, that I you know, like I've witnessed my mentor, Mistress Damiana's, you know, in real life. I mean, being in her academy and also like witnessing how she relates to all of the submissive, you know, people around her. Yeah, it was something that, wow, I never thought something like this is possible. But also, I'm like, I want this.
Yeah.
And then interesting thing is like, and I want this kind of like, that's not the only thing I wanted, but like, I want that. But also I have a different relationship, like a personal relationship that's not a part of it, but like kind of like a both together. But the key thing is like me as someone who can give and receive so much love from people, and regardless of labels, like, you know, it could be a lover or boyfriend. Well, I don't have one, but or submissive or whatever it is, right? Or my children, or I don't know what it is, but I feel like there is so many different possibilities and variations and then depth that I can experience that. And then so, meaning like, yeah, so when I witness, my mentors kind of life, and then knowing, more in depth about, how that looks like, I not only felt like, wow, I want that, but also like I kind of quickly kind of compare myself. Well, Mistress Damiana is very accomplished, and then she's beautiful, and I actually kind of immediately felt like, well, I can do this. I deserve this. Instead of kind of saying, well, she's, she can do it, but I can't. I just kind of like, I want it, but also I felt like I can have this. So that's where I am. I don't know if that's answering the question, but like it's totally different from what I knew 2-3 years ago.
Yeah. Totally. And so like you're now if I got this right, you're now a professional dominatrix and a sex and relationship coach. Is that true? Yeah.
So I'm not doing a pro dom work per se yet. Because I realized that I need a new name for that. And, I'm learning about, if I'm going to really do the pro dom work. I do like a, online sessions, like, like a dominating people as a way to heal people, that I do that, but like, I don't really do the sessions per se yet.
Yeah.
I certainly can do that. Yes.
Yeah. And in your relational life, do you have any partners at the moment or not right now?
I have lovers. Yeah. But I don't have a boyfriend or like a, like the, how do you call this? Primary.
Yeah.
How do you call that? Yeah.
You have people in your life, but you don't have anyone that's like maybe living with you or anything like that.
Oh no.
They don't fit.
Correct.
They don't fit in a box.
No.
I think that's
they don't need to.
Which I think is amazing, right? It sounds like it was not just your professional life that you opened up in this way, but you wanted to, as I heard it, was seeing these other people relating in these different ways and saying, I want that both professionally and personally.
Yeah.
At multiple levels. And then I think tying it in, even like you said, like I can also love my kids, right? Loving somebody else like this doesn't mean I can't love my kids, and maybe loving my job or having a relationship that isn't love, but is just for some other reason. Like that doesn't, there's nothing wrong with any of those things. They're all valid in their own way.
Yeah. Yes. Right. Yes, absolutely. And also like it really, like often people, I hear this kind of people talking about like, to kind of justify like, polyamory, people say, things like, well, how can you say, you love this child more than the other, or, like you can always love, much. It feels really more like I am not putting, anybody I love or anybody who love me in any particular box. Like, for example, like, I guess it's not important for me that if this person is my lover, or it's really not that important to me. It's more like, I love this person loves me. And, like whatever that is great for that person. And then me, I do it and I just love it, and then so that's kind of how it looks like that, I'm just kind of meeting people, getting to know, and then, what's here, and then just kind of allowing that, and I receive it and give.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I think there's a couple of things in there that I wanted to just maybe touch on, which were, I think, the shift that happened where you saw these other people, you saw another pro dom, your mentor doing something, and I think in that stage, for many of us, I would know for myself, to look at that person and say, "That's not possible for me." Like that's a thing that they can do, and you sort of looked inward and said, "Yeah, I can have that. I can do that." that's, I think that shift, especially from where you were just 2 or 3 years before of, I'm going to suppress everything, to, no, I can have that. That could be me. I think that's just an amazing shift. And I'm just blown away by it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And then I am really surprised by that, by this too.
by yourself.
Yeah. Well, yes. I'm like, I didn't know anything about it, just a few years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that because of that power thing, like my experience of like, going to that area that I was not going because of the, fear, shame, and then going and then kind of finding like, wow, so having that experience really accelerated this kind of like, okay, so now I want to do this. This feels right. And then, just kind of kept going and going and going, never stopping. Yeah. Like that is probably a factor. Like I said, it's been a fast, the for sure. Yes.
Yeah. There was something else that I felt happened over the course of this conversation that was a shift in the language that you use when you talked about the martial arts or belly dancing or all of the things you were doing. Up to a point, it was, I allowed myself. I would allow myself to do that. I would allow myself to do this. And the last few minutes, the shift was, I wanted that, so I did it. I wanted that, so I did it. And it got away from allowing yourself to just saying, I want, and now I'm going to bring it into my life. And I think, I don't know if you have any thoughts on like where that shift happened for you in life, that you shifted the mindset of, I'll allow myself good things to, I want good things and I'm going to make them happen for myself.
That's well, thank you for that observation. I wasn't really paying attention to that, so I really appreciate that reflection. So I am not sure, but I feel like that's probably because I feel like as a woman, I feel like a lot of us struggle to receive. Like we don't understand or we don't know how much we are giving just by being. And it's hard to believe because it's so different from this model that we were taught, like do, don't be lazy, more work, right? And then so from that to like, well, how can I receive so much if I'm not doing much? I feel like I'm starting to really believe that I deserve this. And then seeing, examples of people who are receiving so much love because she is allowing that to come and then she deserves and then she just gives so much without give, like just being.
Yeah.
And then these people around her is just really feeling like their life is so much more just because they're serving her and like they're just in love with their life. They are so happy. So when I see that, I'm like, wow, by allowing and then by wanting something that I know that I deserve, I'm creating life for people. Like I am allowing people to live better, like feel more alive and feel more purposeful in their life. And so I guess I'm starting to really slowly realize the fact that when I receive, when I go for what I want, what good that is doing to other people.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm answering the question, but like I feel like that is the kind of a slow shift that was, I feel like it's hard for a lot of, especially women, to realize that they have that much power, that they deserve so much more.
That they don't have to earn it, right? That you don't have to check off 1,000 things on your to-do list to earn pleasure or to earn some downtime. Right. That you inherently deserve these things without having to earn them.
Right. But it's a hard concept for.
Yes. It's very challenging. Yes.
Yes.
I can relate to that too. Very much so.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this conversation. I just really appreciate everything that you've shared and that the journey that you've been on, like that you're willing to get out there and talk about it and be like, hey, this is what happened to my life and this is where I'm at and I'm still, learning and growing and this is my journey. And so thank you for everything you shared. I was curious, where do you have any vision moving forward? Where do you want to go?
Well, I have this idea that I have this kind of a seat for a king open. It's been vacant. And so I'm a queen. So, but I'm just kind of operating as my queen self, just going through my day and then just kind of like giving and receiving, the kind of taking up the space of like just doing my role, right, in this world. And so I'm aware of this vacant seat over here. So, one thing I can say about that is like, well, it will be interesting to see, someone might, sit in that throne. I don't know. That would be fun. But yeah, I'm just right now it's kind of vacant. And, so like professionally, I am actually just really starting to, really market, in my niche. And then, so I'm also very excited about, and then, also excited about this opportunity to be able to speak, that I really want to, reach more people who just really feel like this, like, there is something that they want to really accomplish, but they are maybe feeling like, oh, that's too selfish, or that's too much, or like I've never heard of this, something like that. And I really want to reach those people and then help them, find their own, own journey. And so, so I'm really excited about that possibility as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm curious with your king in the throne analogy, when you see that vacancy get filled, do you see yourself continuing to relate in an open sort of take every relationship as it comes sort of mentality?
That is a great question. So I recently experienced that. Yeah, relatively recently experienced that I was seeing someone, and I'm still seeing that person, but like I was spending a lot of time with this person, and then I realized that, wow, I want to be exclusive with this person. And I told him about that, and he said no. And so from that experience, I learned a lot about like what I thought that I knew. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's like, whatever that, like, I feel like, I guess when the king seat is filled, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I may feel that, and then I may talk about it. And, and I guess we were going to have a discussion. But when we meet, well, this person has to know very early on, well, from the first time we talk, they need to know what I'm doing, right? And then so they have to accept what I'm doing, everything what I'm doing. And if they don't like that, well, that's too bad. But at the same time, like I said, in my recent experience, I was surprised that I wanted to actually become exclusive with someone and then when I wanted to be like that, it was not I knew, even though I was the one asking, I knew I'm probably the one who want to open up again. Like, hey, I knew it was not going to be permanent, but I just was honoring how I feel that time, So, so to answer your question, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But what I know is that, maybe that's part of the reason why that the seat is vacant. Because, I do what I do because I truly feel this is right. Mm-hmm. And then if I am wanting to be, just stop this exploration because it feels right to me, I will do it. But if it doesn't feel right to me, but he wants to do it, and then, if that was the way that, that we met, and then if it feels like I'm doing it, I'm happy to make compromises and then, have a, like a clear communication and say, you know what, let's say, I really want to honor you. If you don't like what I'm doing, like maybe I can, stop doing this for a month or whatever it is. Like, we can talk about it, but I will never go to a place where I know this is who I am. He doesn't like it. And because I want someone in that seat, I do not do that.
Right. You're not going to sacrifice yourself for that to have someone
exactly.
there.
Yeah. But very much, I don't know how I feel because like I said, like I definitely have this desire in some point with certain circumstances that, like I said, I was surprised that I wanted that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
but I think it's the acknowledging that you're surprised at that in that moment, but that can also change. You can want that for a time being, like for a set time, and then maybe that changes, or maybe it doesn't. But allowing yourself to be able to recognize, like, this is what I'm feeling now, communicate that to someone, and then they. In your example, like they have maybe a different opinion, or a different need.
Yeah. And then you get to compromise.
And then you get to compromise and see, okay, well, let's figure this out between us. But that's like an evolving thing, right? That doesn't just stay static because we're all human and we all change.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I think that's amazing too. Just and it ties into something you said very early on, which is you're not going to stop. You're never going to go back to not asking for or sharing what it is you want and need. And you're not going to, like Emma said, you're not going to sacrifice who you are for an end goal, for the goal of filling a seat or to stay married or any one of the quote unquote like goals that we're supposed to have. You're not going to sacrifice who you are and do something that feels bad in the moment to make that happen.
Right. So again, it's the same thing for the king. So it's kind of like if I meet the person and if I feel like, well, he's a king, then he will sit there for a little bit, I suppose. But, I'm not going to make him sit there, And
it's not necessarily a seat for life. It's a seat. It's a seat for as long as it makes sense for you to sit there.
Exactly. Yeah. So in that sense, it doesn't, I was kind of thinking about, it's not like the, only king has a seat, like everyone has a seat, and then like I have a different relationship with different people that come to me. And then I feel like, this is valuable because I experienced this with this person. Yeah. And then so like everyone has a different seat, I suppose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. I've absolutely loved this conversation. So thank you.
Yeah. I'd love to give you a moment too to share where people can find you if they want to learn more or other like work that you've done. We happen to know that you have done a TED Talk. And so if you have, please plug yourself, please share where people can find you.
And know too that links to everything you say will be in the show notes. So you don't have to like spell out the website. We'll make sure they're there for everybody, but go for it.
Oh, okay. Yes. So yes, I do have a website. It's called www.mysteriousmariko.com.
Okay.
And, but I actually have a link to like a sign up to, so that will be probably the best way to find me and connect me.
Yep.
Yeah. People can also find me on, yes. So my IG, the Instagram handle is Mistress Mariko as well. Yeah. And the other thing I'm doing is so when I yes, so I have, just like you guys, well, it's not the same, but like I have a community that talks about sex. And then so I really enjoyed participating in your community as well. And then so my community is a little bit different, but like I feel like the more people who has this opportunity to talk about sex is really kind of like such a healing experience while having so much fun, which is I'm kind of guessing that why you're doing this, but so that is another way. And then of course you can find that from my sign up link and also from my website.
Amazing.
To sign up for that.
Are you willing to share a little bit about what your community looks like, how it works? Because I think one of the other things that is just a huge passion of ours is community building, and it doesn't have to be ours. It can be anybody's. We know the power. We know the power of finding your community and embedding yourself in it. So what does your community look like? What can people expect if they show up there?
Yeah, so the name of the community is called the community that talk about sex like we talk about food. So
I love it.
So that's exactly what we do. But then we don't talk about food. But right now, the group is brand new, pretty much. And then so I have a currently structured discussion. And then I have like a set topic to talk about, but it's not always a sex topic. But the previous conversation has been really, really fun. Because it talk about sex like food, it just does that. And also it's a very deep conversation as well. Because we are allowed to talk about anything. And then so a relationship struggles or whatever. So I give everyone a certain number of minutes.
Okay.
Depending on how many are there. Yeah. And then I'm really hoping that at some point, sometime soon or whatever it is, that when the time is right, that, you guys do the breakout room, right? So if I have that many participants, then I can do the same thing in the breakout rooms and stuff like that. But it's a moderated discussion. Yeah. But there is a lot of topics that I can provide. I always provide. So people usually don't have a problem picking something and then talk about it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. Anyone building community, we're happy to promote, because that is, we've just found that it's one of the most powerful things when you're doing something, especially something quote unquote against the grain a little bit, to know that you're running against the grain with a whole bunch of people that maybe you're not actually against the grain. Maybe you are the grain and everybody else is running against you, is a pretty sweet feeling. So.
Yeah, and then you guys are doing this for a long time, so I'm very curious. One, any and I appreciate any promotional activities that you could do, but also I'm very curious about what you have done to grow your community as well. So
that's a whole episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I think we can definitely talk more about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at the end of the day, my biggest piece of advice from my experience, our experience, is to just be yourself. Be authentically you, and you'll attract the people that you want to attract. And
and don't do things that don't feel good. Just like you all of the moral values that you've brought through this whole journey that you shared, don't do shit that doesn't feel good to you just because somebody else says that's how you should do it.
Right. Yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah. As I would agree with Emma. That's the number one thing. So.
Yeah.
And that goes for any of you out there in the world about to build a community. Build it.
Or building one.
Build it for yourself, and the right people will show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we just thank you again for everything you've shared, and for building the community that you're doing too. For us, we love seeing people building their own things and what they want to create and creating that, and then finding their community. And so if you're out there listening, we encourage you to check out Mariko's community, and also just thank you.
Find a community.
Find a community.
Or build one, hell. And then come on the podcast.
Yeah. Before we let you go, is there anything else that you would like to share?
Well, thank you so much for asking. And I really enjoy this opportunity to talk about my particular journey. And I would love to connect with people. If anyone, felt that, called to just connect just because I'm like, oh, this person sounds interesting or have something interesting experience, or, I feel like, let's say I find some, like a good podcast or a good YouTube video or something, but it takes a lot for me to just actually want to reach out, like that they're like, so, I guess in this society where, sex is a shame, right? I feel like a lot of people reach out to people with like a wrong agenda or whatever it is. But, even when people have a correct agenda, we kind of like think too much about it. And then so I guess I really want to aggressively connect with people who feel aligned. And then so if you feel like, for the sake of like, if if any of you out there listening and then feel like, well, this person seems to be like aligned or just fun to be with or whatever it is, I really would like to reach out to me, because I can't do it from here.
I love
and then I don't, yes. So I would like that. And then, in knowing very well that, there is this stigma and then like, this difficulty out there that people are battling with, right? But I'm very aware of that. And I still choose to be aggressive when it comes to connecting with people who feel aligned.
Yeah. Yeah. That stigma that, if I reach out and send you a really cool video, that you're going to assume that I'm just trying to fill the king's seat or hook up or whatever, right? It's so easy for people to feel that way. But if you just genuinely reach out, like I thought we were super aligned. Here's an amazing YouTube video. Here's an amazing podcast. Here's an amazing whatever. And that can be the whole agenda.
Yeah. And then I'm totally fine. I'm mature. I'm an adult. I can handle it.
But you've for sure proven that. So I love it. Well, thank you, Mariko, for coming on today, for all the work you do and for this powerful conversation. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And we're back. Thank you so much, Mariko, for coming on the podcast, sharing your story. We had such a wonderful time getting to know you. And a quick reminder to everyone listening, links to all of Mariko's work are available in the podcast show notes.
Yeah, I just want to echo Emma's gratitude. Thank you, Mariko, for coming on and for letting us dig really deep on some of these questions and for getting super vulnerable and how you have accomplished what you've accomplished, because I think it's so rare that people who are successful and have sort of tapped into new ways of doing things, they don't often know how to communicate or share sort of how that success came to be. And that's one of the things I really loved about talking. So thank you.
Yes. A quick reminder to go to our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com. There you can find information on the community and you can sign up for our next virtual meet and greet, which is on May 24th.
Yeah, one other thing I wanted to kind of circle back to a conversation we had in this interview was 2 episodes we did as part of our Focus Fridays a couple of months back, episodes 2.8 and 2.9. They were both about community and sort of how we built the podcast. Links to those, again, will be in the show notes. But Mariko talked about her community. And we want to send people to any community that feels like theirs. Ours is amazing, we feel, but it may not be amazing for you. And so we want you to find yours. So check out Mariko's, check out all of the other communities out there, because truly we believe in the power of community, and it doesn't have to be our community.
Yes.
That's all I wanted to say.
Good reminder.
Good reminders.
And with that, next week, we have an interview with Terry. You're going to want to hold on for this one.
This is like getting in a time machine.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. It is. So Terry is the author of a book titled 50 Years of Polyamory.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a subtitle that is much longer than that. Actually, I have it written right here. 50 Years of Polyamory in America, a guided tour of a growing movement. And what is really cool about this is Terry has been exploring polyamory and non-monogamy for roughly 50 years herself.
Yes.
And so we get to go on a journey together.
We get to dive in.
It is fun. So we will see you next week for that. In the meantime, get out there and kick some serious ass.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think that's all we got.
That's all we got to go. You got to go kick ass, and we got to go kick some ass.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.